tight. Boots on the ground. It's the real nitty-gritty. Boots on the ground. It's the real nitty-gritty. Boots on the ground. It's the real nitty-gritty. Boots on the ground.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're joining me from. Thank y'all so much for stopping by the live stream again. Our topic today, of course, is the panel. We got some expats from around the world, and they're going to talk about their retirement in foreign countries. They're going to give y'all a glimpse of what's like in other parts of the world, not just the Philippines, because this is the only place we're retiring. But before I get started, let me give a shout out to the NTZ crew. I see Michael Beach of Life on here. I know Jacob Tanje's on here. All my old heads, there's Jeffrey Tatter, Roger Walker, Rag Jam Rock. I see y'all, Derek Casanara. Thank y'all for all your support. Any new viewers and subscribers that will join us today, welcome. And anybody catching this on the live stream, I really appreciate it. Let me talk about this real quick. He said, Calvin, I've noticed that recently your videos are moving away from being enjoyable and fun to becoming more like watching the news, not fun. Now I'm saying, what channel are you watching, my man? I wrote down my last 9 videos. One, I was talking about feminists. The biggest feminists in the Philippines are American men. Then the one before that was my walk. And then he got his old man wake-up call, double dipping about how we waste money over here, paying for the same goods and services twice, dating young women, a 3-foot-tall man stole my woman's heart, my meet and greet in Cagayan, and then don't come for the women. It's not all fun and games over here, Enzo, okay? I'm giving you the 360. You can go to those other channels if you like, but I've got 1,300 videos I've made. I'm pretty sure you can find one that you'll find enjoyable that you haven't watched in a long time. But if you want me to lie to you, I'm not going to lie. A lot of you guys, y'all want to be lied to. The truth hurts you. You want me to tell you that all you got to do is come over here and they're going to treat you like a king and all that stuff. Well, you're in the wrong channel, man. A lot of this is about motivation, inspiration. Some of it's entertaining, but most of it's informative. We're talking about moving on the other side of the planet, retiring and living out our 4th quarter. So it's not always going to be fun and games. There's other channels there's plenty of channels that talk about that though. I'm going to introduce my panel. I've got Stanley, but right here he's got Manny. He's over in
Manny's my
Africa,
middle name or my nickname.
Okay, Tanzania. And of course, we've got the crazy old gringo back again. John, he's over in Mexico. I'm not good with pronouncing those big words, but go ahead, Manny, and kind of introduce yourself to the community.
Well, you're absolutely right. My name is Stanley Brown, but my nickname is Manny. I've been known as Manny for the last 20 years of my life. So, when you get a name, you kind of want to stick to it. Besides the God-given or the name your mother gave you, when your friends stick a name to you, you tend to go by that. Let me see. I'm 56 years old, so I guess you got me by a couple of years. I've been living in Africa off and on for 3 years. I've also been to Thailand. Go ahead.
Yeah.
I've also been to Thailand. I've lived in Germany. I've lived in, let me see. I'm from Texas, so that's not too far from Mexico. Let me see. I've also been to the Philippines. And no, I haven't been to the Philippines, but I've been to Korea and a couple of other places. Looks like he needs to reestablish connection, huh?
Yep.
I'm back here. I'm back. I'm in this hotel. and
You're back.
the
And
Wi-Fi is not so
hello?
great. But go ahead, Stan. Go ahead.
Yeah, so it was kind of like you. I left 3 or 4 years ago, in the from the United States. Decided to do some traveling. Back then was COVID. Everything was locked up, so was looking for a place to go. My first stop was the Dominican Republic, and then I had
I'm going
I
to
had a
switch
pretty good
over.
time
I'm
there,
going to
but it
switch
wasn't
over
really for me.
to my data.
So how do you like Mexico, bro?
Man, I've been living down here for 9 years. It was never my plan to retire here. We're an hour from the Arizona border at the very tip of the Sea of
Okay.
Cortez. So it's a tourist town, and a lot of Americans, Arizonans, will buy property down here, or they'll put trailers out on a piece of property or buy a condo. And that's what I did. It was like a weekend place to go to, and
I had to get on my data because the Wi-Fi in this hotel is not at all. So I apologize. But thank you, Stanley. I know you said you're over in Tanzania, Africa. You've been
Yeah,
there
right now I currently reside in Tanzania.
for 3
I've been here
years,
off and
right?
on for the last 9 months, with a little couple of breaks in between. I've been in Tanzania for off and on 9 months. Hmm. I think you froze on us again.
yeah, it may not be a good time for him to be doing this. Anyway, it was never my plan to retire down here. I was working in Mexico quite a bit, and I had some dogs. It just, it fell into place. It was the right thing to do at the right time, and so 9 years later, I'm here, and I don't have any plans on leaving. I just did my monthly budget today, and it's without food, it's like
We're back now for
$336.
good. I got off that stupid Wi-Fi. I'm on my
A month?
data.
Yeah,
I'm on my
$336 a month.
I'm on my data now.
Oh, I'm sorry. We kind of went fast forward. He was talking about his monthly expenses in Mexico.
Oh well, that's okay. Let me ask you something real quick, Stanley. Are you married over there?
No, I'm not. I'm not married. I've recently started dating seriously about 4 months ago. With staying with kind of one person, but during when you're traveling, you kind of like I'm not really too big on the long distance relationship. I do keep in touch with people or when I'm traveling, but I just recently decided, oh well, this one's a good one. I'm gonna settle it down with her.
Well, that's good. And you're in Tanzania. What's going on in Tanzania? Is that like a resort place or what is that? I know a friend of mine, he lives there. He bought a house. He married a local woman and he showed me some fabulous beaches over there.
Yes, yes. He's located probably in Dar es Salaam. I lived in Dar es Salaam. In fact, I just left Dar es Salaam like 2 weeks ago. I was there that was my number one spot to go in Tanzania. That and that island right outside of Zanzibar, the island right outside of Dar es Salaam is Zanzibar. It's just absolutely magnificent beaches. You could pretty much pick up a real nice condo there, or a real nice two bedroom off the ocean. Really upgraded for about 600 a month in that area, 700 a month.
Wow.
So
Wow.
cost of living
Yeah,
there
that's
is really inexpensive, in my opinion.
Well, good. Let's talk to John for a minute. Go ahead and introduce yourself, John. I know you've been on the panel a few times, and
Yeah, yeah. I enjoyed it every
And
time.
oh,
Well,
I'm sorry. By the way, I'm gonna try and switch myself to the iPhone. I'll be right. I'm gonna go off and come back on.
okay, go ahead.
so yeah, I've been living in Mexico for 9 years. It wasn't planned. It was a vacation spot for me and many Arizonans. This is where we come. It's the tip of the Sea of Cortez, so it's a big tourist fishing, shrimping area. Completely happy, completely safe. As I just said, I did my budget today. Everybody's got to do that, right? Once a year, and without food,
Right.
it's $336 a month without food. So I did something right. It's very manageable. I wake up every day with not a worry in the world, happy as can be. I think I've achieved something that a lot of people are looking for. No stress whatsoever since I retired, and
Yeah.
65 years old, just living the life.
Yeah, that sounds great. See, I don't know what that guy Enzo was talking about. Now, see, that's enjoyable. That's fun to hear this kind of stuff. What he was really saying, John, is I don't have these young women parading across my screen like he wants me to do. See, that's what he considers fun.
Yeah.
He wants, me to have these young 20, 25-year-old women on here so he can gawk at over there because he's lonely. But real things that interest us, that can really benefit us, they don't want to hear about. So no, I'm not going to change my content, and I'm not going to bring those women on my channel. So if you don't like it, just keep scrolling.
There's 100 other channels that do that. It gets pretty boring after the while. They say the same thing over and over and over and
That's
over
right.
again. And I got to tell you something. After a while, I've just kind of reached a point where it's like, you know what? That's too much work. Just dealing with all that craziness that goes on with getting involved in, those people. I would come for a cultural experience, but I'm not even remotely interested in getting that dynamic.
Yeah, I don't blame you. But I'm over here, I'm right in it. And I couldn't agree with you more. I look on my feed and I cringe. And but I don't criticize anybody because I know that it's really not easy to have a YouTube channel. But I'm right there with you. See, I cringe. I look at this content. I'm like, they're saying the same thing over and over and over. It's just somebody new will come on and say something that's been said 3 years ago, and then everybody is losing their mind over it, thinking it's the best thing since sliced bread. It's not. One of the guys who hates me the most, he's a black guy, by the way. He's a big Filipino P supporter. He said something that made a lot of sense to me. See, because sometimes your haters can help you. He said, Calvin, I don't know why you bloggers over there want to make it seem like the Philippines is so difficult to navigate. He said it's simple over there. And he's telling the truth, man. That's just the bottom line, guys.
If I could intercede, it's simple all over the world. You just got to remember to keep, your simple rules of who you are and what you'll go for and what you won't go for. I mean, you can't interchange something that if somebody means you wrong, especially if you're in the States, you learn early to sense things that may be troublesome for you. Well, if you amplify that and take that to any situation, like I would say the Philippines or Africa or Thailand or Germany, America, it gives you a third sense. In fact, you sense these things earlier on, I feel, if you're from the United States, because there's more of a danger spots where you have school shootings. You go to school, you don't know what's going to happen the next day. You got this. It's way more of a serious situation there.
Right, but we're just talking about content because see, these guys, I'm the only one. I don't see them doing it to anybody else. They think they can disrespect me. they can come on my channel and tell me what to vlog about. I don't see them on Old Dog, New Tricks, Filipino P, telling her what to talk about. But they think that they can do that to me. Well, I'm sorry, keep scrolling. It's not that serious, man. Y'all got 1,000 channels over here. Y'all can watch with that bull crap. All y'all want to see is old men and young women together. That's not that's not something I'm interested in. I see it all day long.
You know,
come on,
I gotta
guys.
ask. I see these guys, and I cringe, and I wonder to myself, what are their? I would never go on an internet or a social site with a woman that's 40 years younger than me, 30 years younger than me, and in fact, probably I wouldn't do it with the one that was 20 years younger than me because they're, you know, I don't stick too long in one place, and I don't want to project the image that people are disposable. What do you think their families think about, you know, these old toothless gummers that are with these young girls? And what I've noticed is that they're pretty thin skinned. When somebody calls them out and says they're pedophiles or they've got a child bride, they spend a lot of time on videos trying to refute that. So, you know, what do you think? What do you think their families are thinking when they see this?
Well, see, I did a video not long ago. It's not everybody over here that's okay with that. It's only a certain percentage of women, very small percentage, the ones that we seen today, the ones who put themselves out there and say, I'm available. So their families don't have a problem with it. The families who have a problem with it are the regular, typical Filipinos over here going to school, working hard. They don't want old men breathing down the necks of their daughters. They'll shoot you, man, and cut you in half.
I'm talking about the expats. What do their families think about, you know, their brother, their uncle, their dad over here with a child bride that's 20 years younger than his daughter? My daughter's 40. I don't think I want to put my business out there like that.
Well, to be honest with you, John, because I don't sugarcoat. A lot of them are jealous, but at the same time, a lot of them, half the expats over here, their families don't even know they're here. They're coming over here, they're hiding. That's why they don't want to come on camera, you know. And I don't judge anybody. If that's what they want to do, let them do it. But I'm saying this is all people want to see. This is what the Philippine genre has become about. So when you talk about real life stuff like I do, they say it's boring. I'm saying, okay, then wait till you get over here and the dust settles, okay, and you shot your load and everything else that you plan on doing over here. You're going to be stuck. You're going to be wishing that you'd have listened to somebody like me and these other vloggers that try to talk sense into people. It's not a whole party over here 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And that's what they want me to tell them. So what's it like over in Africa? Is it age gap relationships over there, Stanley?
Oh yeah, a whole lot. There's a whole lot of age gap relationships. I think anywhere you go to a TWC, a third world country, you're going to see age gaps. So, I mean, I'm not saying that third world in a way of just where the economy is not as advanced, you know. You're gonna see that. You're gonna see a lot of younger women who are dating older men, and you see a lot of you also see a lot of older white men here dating a lot of younger women here. You see the same thing you see in the Philippines, all through Africa. I mean, it's a constant.
Yeah, I saw that. I was watching some because I went online. I was watching some Dominican Republic videos yesterday, and it just looks like the Philippines to me. That same makeup. So when somebody comes on there, it's very few channels that really tell you, hey man, when you come over here, it's the apartment, and set up a bank account, immigration.
Right.
YouTube is pushing junk, man. They want to see that foolishness, okay? Because people are asking for it. People are asking for it. They're not. Yeah.
It gets the views. It gets the views. I mean, if you're in the business of YouTube, you're going to chase the views and the subscribers. bring in the buck. That's what you're going to do.
It's kind of what you're saying. Promoting it is where I feel the biggest problem is I don't think it should be promoted, but as far as the older man, the age gap and things of that nature, if she's consenting and he's consenting, who am I to say? You know what I mean? Now that's just how I look at it, but I don't really look at it. If you're putting it out in the air, this is what I'm doing, and you're trying to monetize off of that situation, making it a public thing, throwing your life up in front of a camera in order to monetize things. That's where I find it wrong.
I think these guys have just lost the little voice in their head that tells them the difference between right and wrong. I think that if you're 60 or 65 and you're online, you know what? You got a choice online dating sites. There's a whole wide spectrum of women you can talk to, and somehow you fell in with a 26-year-old when you're 65. I mean, my brain would be saying, you know what? There's just something I don't feel comfortable with this. I don't know, man. You want to do it? You want to be happy? I guess, but not me.
Yeah, but see, here's the thing, though. They were probably that way all along over there, and they just couldn't access it like they can over here because I don't think you flip a switch and do that. But at the same time, some guys, remember, women do age a lot faster than us. I'm 60. I don't find any 60-year-old women attractive. So if I find a 40-year-old woman attractive and I can keep up with her, there's nothing wrong with that. But I'm the same guy now as I was in America. I'm no different. But I do like attractive women. When I was in my 40s, I was dating women in their 20s over here. But now that I'm 60, I don't do that anymore. I don't knock anybody for doing it, but I just think that they were that way all along. And now that they're in the Philippines and they see where, hey, it's over here, it's tolerated, I'm going to go for it. But let me say this before we move on. A lot of these guys are just taking advantage of these women over here. And I'm not knocking anybody. See, I'm just telling you the truth. It's like putting a kid in a candy shop. That's what they're doing. They're like, okay, I'm going to make up for all the years that I was neglected over in America or wherever I was. And I'm going to take that on the women over here.
Delta males never had a chance of getting with high value women in the United States, and they never will. And the Delta male is the backbone of our society. They're the working guys. They're every man. They're 80% of men that are trying to get 20%. They'll never get it. They're never going to get it. The alphas and the sigmas have those women. So they've just kind of flipped the paradigm by coming to a country where they have an opportunity to move up the ladder. Does that make sense?
You're saying, if you're talking about Maslow's pyramid, because you sent that to me, and I've been studying it.
Good.
So you're saying that they're trying to move up the ladder, so they're trying to become alphas and sigmas over here.
Well, they're trying to do an end run around it. Remember we've talked before about validation. Think about it. You got a guy who's busted his ass his whole life, bricklayer, truck driver, whatever, taking care of a family. And it took probably 2 years for the shine to go away off that marriage. I mean, they hung into it. They hung into it for 15 years. Then he divorced and tried it again. It was the same dynamic. Wasn't appreciated. No affirmation. Oh, honey, you're great. None of that stuff. None of it. Mm-hmm. And so now he sees these gorgeous women that are with guys that are making a lot of money. That's just, it's hypergamy. Women date sideways and up, men date sideways and down. And so now men have an opportunity to get out of that competitive pool in the United States and come over to the Philippines and now they're rock stars. When they were Delta personalities, they're now like betas.
Yeah.
They're betas in the Philippines.
I will say one thing: 70% of the women, well, a large percent of the women, you can go into stats, but I'm just going to say 70% of the women overlook the average male, and 10,
Yes,
10 maybe 15% of the male get 70% of the women.
you're right.
So-
That's called Pareto's parameter. That's exactly what it is. Pareto's principle.
So when you come into a place like the Philippines, and
He's right.
you know, and you're saying, hey, I have 50,000 a year here in America, and I'm eating ramen noodles every day, but over here I can get this house, I can get this car,
Mhm.
we can get it moving, you know. So now you become the top 5-10% in
Yep.
that economy. So
Yep.
you
Right.
transgress and you
Right.
become that. So if in America, what gets to me is you're looking at the Hugh Hefners and you're looking at the rich men, and nobody says nothing when those rich men get that 25, 30-year-old girl and they have a 4-year-old boy and they're living in a mansion underneath a big tree. But when the older man goes to the Philippines and they say, oh, you're taking advantage of the 25-year-old girl or the 30-year-old girl. But when it was in the States and the man was a millionaire, nobody said nothing. Nobody said nothing when all these things were
Absolutely.
Well, I
but when
think the
they come
United
to the Philippines and you're top 1%, oh yeah, you're taking advantage of her. Look, I don't know whether she loves him or not. Maybe she does, maybe she doesn't. But even then, in the States, that came with the price tag. Came with the price tag there.
Yep.
It comes with the price tag in the Philippines. So when
Yes.
people say,
Absolutely.
if you have a personal view of where you're saying, I would never date a 30, or I'm 65 and I would never date a 25-year-old, then you really got to go look back to the 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th century. It happens all the time. So
Well-
now that we look at it in this century in general, we're saying, oh no, it's bad. It's been happening. It's just, you know, when you didn't have it there, you just didn't see it.
Right.
All right, I'm done. Go
I
ahead.
think it was a
Yeah.
good comment. It was a good commentary. I think that relationships and marriages have changed over the years. It's no longer about putting families together, building empires, inheriting land. All that's changed. But I've got some homework for everybody. Look up Pareto's principle. It's the 80-20 principle. And what it basically says is 20% is generating 80%. So if you've got sales, for example, 20% of
Exactly.
your sales will generate 80% of your customers. It's the same with relationships. 20% of the men are getting 80% of the woman. That means 80% of women or men are fighting for 20% of the women that are probably what, 3s,
Exactly.
4s? Now they can come over to the
Exactly.
Philippines and they're up to 7s and 8s. Okay,
Or
cool.
Africa, or
cool. Yes.
Dominican, or
Well,
or-
down here we grade them on fat asses and cesarean scars.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know, a lot of that. Now I understand. To me, it's like you shouldn't throw it out there. You shouldn't. I don't think. Why advertise it? I think what's killing people is the advertisement itself, and the feminist movement has a lot against it too. So
You're right.
Yeah, but you got to realize though, we're our worst enemy a lot of times. See, even though we become the alphas and the sigmas over here, John, our thinking hasn't changed. We're not thinking like alphas and sigmas. We just put ourselves in that 20%, but we're still spoiling the women. We're still, getting in our own way over here. We become
you're so
the biggest feminist. We become the biggest feminists over here. We're empowering women in the Philippines more than their government could ever dream of doing. I mean, money will liberate you. It will make you independent. It will change your attitude, man. I see it every day. But when you make a video like that, guys they don't want to look at it like that they're the problem. Sometimes you got to look in the mirror, man. You got a bunch of the 80%ers that y'all talking about, because I talk about that all the time. I talk about repeat business. That's why I'm still getting paid 5 years after I haven't wrote a policy. Because 80% of my business comes from 20% of my customers.
Yep.
They're going to deal with Calvin Roach no matter what. A better plan may come along, a better deal, but no, they love me. It's the same thing. So now you got the 80% of the men fighting for the 20% over there. They're like, no, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to the Philippines, the DR, Brazil, Colombia, wherever I can get into the 20%. But they're bringing themselves with them. Okay. So when they get over here, it's like the guy says, he said, hey, Mr. Calvin, you built your channel by being honest and upfront, not by selling a fake dream. Most of the guys asking you to change content are straight up losers who can't even talk to women. See, they want me to give them their dream on a silver platter, John. I'm not going to do it. Come over here and earn it just like I did. Okay. I'm not going to give it to you like that anymore. When I first started out, I didn't know any better. But yeah, I'm not going to change my content. I mean, how dare you tell me to do that? Here I got a great conversation going on right now. And you're going to tell me what John and Stanley is talking about is not interesting? It's not enjoyable? This bullshit, man. That's why I got the channel I have, so I can bring on guys like that. I'm not going to bring on a bunch of young 20-year-olds in bikinis all damn day, man. What are you going to learn from that?
Now, Calvin, I do have a question for you. Looking at the news, I see a whole lot of military bases opening up, like 20 more military bases opening up near in your area. How do you think that's going to impact the retirement community in the Philippines and the overall rate of where the Filipino peso stands?
Well, it's not going to affect it anyway. It's going to be good for the country, for the economy. It's not going to affect us because remember, if you've ever, were you in the service? Were you in the military?
21 years.
Most of the time when I went, and I was in the Navy, when we went to a country, hell, we didn't go too far, away from the base or anything like that. We stayed right around the bases and the ships and wherever, the bars, because they build up those cities right around there so you don't have to go anywhere. So yeah, the economy of those places is going to be affected, just like it is now. Look at Clark. Go up there and see how expensive it is compared to where I am in Bacala City.
I was
so it's only going to be wherever those bases are going to be. Yeah.
So I was thinking the flooding of the dollar.
But let me get this.
Go ahead.
Well, no, as long as we get this strong military, that dollar's going to stay wherever it's supposed to stay. Okay. We got that bully pulpit because some guy sent me a link today. It says, China's threatening the Philippines and the U.S. is on high alert. And I'm like, well, as long as they're threatening them, I don't have a problem with it. Now, when they go to attacking the Philippines, then I may be concerned. But that's just, yeah. Yeah. W Secrets to Success, thanks for that super chat. He says, if you're moving to another country for only women or men, you're crazy. Move for the lifestyle and the rest will come. I'll fall in place at some stage. Yeah, you're preaching to the crowd. I mean, to the choir right here, though. Us three guys, try telling that to the thousands upon thousands of men who flock over here every year for a woman. That's their number one focus. It doesn't matter how many videos I make and say, hey, man, don't make that your focus. The woman is the least of your worries. They're not going to do it. And so they've turned everything upside down over here.
I guarantee.
I mean, really, it's on the.
I'm sorry. The less you care about chasing the girls, the more quality of the ones will come your way. It just don't go to. Trust me when I tell you, don't. If you just sit back and you chill and be who you are, then the right ones, and you're in an area where the numbers is already in your favor. So whether you're in Africa, Mexico, Philippines, so if you just chill, the right one will come to you and approach you. don't. That's just how I feel about it.
Ruby's making an interesting point.
Yeah,
Because I watched a video today of a very, I guess he's popular expat out there. He sits in coffee shops and does interviews with people. I won't say his name, but one of the video was him and his wife, who is fairly young. We're talking, and he's 60 something with a couple, I think 4 bypasses, not in the best of, lots of medication. And they were talking about having a child. I got to tell you, man, that should have been a conversation that maybe you had before you got together and got married. And from my point of view, if you've got a 20-something-year-old Filipina, that's just kind of something that goes with the territory, isn't it? Don't they want kids? They may say no, but eventually it's coming around.
Yeah, reality at some point rears its head over here with guys. Remember, when you get over here, it's no longer fantasy, it's reality. And, when these women saying, hey, I want children, I want this, I want that. And even the point where you get your old man wake up call where we look at these women, we think we can handle them. We can't. Okay. Let's just be honest. A 65-year-old man can do nothing with a 25-year-old woman in her prime over here. These women take it easy on us. Okay. I've been handed my old man card before. That's why I made the video. But my grandfather was 62. My great-grandfather was 62 when he had my grandmother. And she turned out pretty well. The Filipino, as long as you've got some type of financial support, that child's going to get raised because they still have that community over here that's been lost over there in the West. Okay, I know what I'm talking about.
Right.
Okay, they still have that village going on over here. As long as the man leaves them some type of financial support to keep that going, the child's going to be okay. Okay. That's just how it is, man. That's the reason I built the house. That's the reason I built my house over here. If Booby was never born, John, I would have never built that house. Okay. I would never have given Marilyn a savings account. That's my insurance policy. When I'm no longer here, she's going to be able to continue to go, to thrive. But yeah, it's something that you have to think about. I made a video a long time ago talking about grandfathers, older men coming over here having children. Because a lot of us think we can't have children anymore. That's because the old women you're dealing with in America, they're burned. They can't bear children. You come over here, you blow on the women over here and they get pregnant. It's something you got to be careful of, though.
Well, I got a vasectomy at 40 because there's no way am I going to go through that again.
Yeah. But from what I've seen, the older guys over here, they're taking care of their children, as best they can. Because remember, it's really just a financial thing anyway, like we're doing over there. Hell, I used to work so much, man, that I spent very little time with my children, only on the weekends and during, the summer vacations, man. My wife was raising the kids. I was out there trying to, bring home the bacon. Okay?
Yeah.
And it's really the same way over here.
I will say one thing. What you should look at, or what people have to look. I'm not gonna. Shouldn't really. Yeah, I'm gonna say it. If you're going to Social Security, and let's say that you do to answer the young lady's question. If you're an American and you are due a Social Security check, right? And you do the DNA test and you do all the paperwork involved with Social Security, then at that point, even after your passing, your child gets half of your Social Security. So that's something you should really check out. Don't just take my word for it. Research it. I already know I researched it. It's there. So even though if you're pulling $2,000 of your Social Security and and you have a child, then you go into Social Security, and that child above that 2,000, that child gets an extra 1,000. And upon your leaving the earth, that child gets $1,000 till that child is 18. So you're saying take care of the child. You know, if the older man is responsible and doing what he's supposed to do, then that child is, like you said, taken care of. Now, as far as the fathership,
Yeah, now Dana,
the child, that's another story.
yeah,
I think it's Russian
Dana
roulette.
Milton.
You're 65 years old. You got one foot in the grave already anyway.
You're right. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
See, a lot of the guys, though, they're going to push back.
Talking financial.
Wait, a lot of guys are going to push back on that. They're going to say, hey, I'm in my fourth quarter. You know, and like I said, we can't reach these are grown men, John. We can't reach them. You understand? Mm-hmm. They're going to do what they want to do. They're going to do what they're going to do no matter what we say. Yeah. Okay? Right. We just like that. We just like to have the conversation, okay? Because they're not going to listen. Okay, but maybe some younger guy who's listening, who is going to be 65 on down the line and say, hey, I ain't going to do what them crazy old men are doing. Maybe that's it. But Dana Milton said, Calvin, many of your viewers are living vicariously through you. They aren't going to leave the cities they live in, much less going to the Philippines. Yeah, I understand that, Dana. But I can't just give them fun and games all the time, because it's not all fun and games over here. I mean, this is the real deal over here, man. I'm 8,000 miles away. I better be operating on all 12 cylinders over here, because guess what? Let me run out of money over here. Okay? All them viewers that you talking about who are living vicariously through me, they're going to be laughing at me. They're not going to help me get back home. You know, so I got to give you the nitty gritty. That's what I want to give you. I'm not going to keep on babysitting these grown ass men. I'm telling you like how it really is over here. It's been like that a long time before I was even born. Okay, but for some reason, we think we're Christopher Columbus, Stanley, that we come over here and discovered the Philippines. I got news for you. You didn't. What you're going to do over here is already been done. Okay, the mold has already been set, dude. Your boy reactions. Thanks for that super chat.
Did you see?
He said, "Expats should explore. Expats should wait. Let me read this super chat. Okay, he says, your boy reactions. Thanks for that super chat. He said, expats should explore is a great option for lonely men. I don't know. Can anybody? What is he saying there? I don't know.
I think he's saying that if you're lonely, getting out in the world and exploring is a great alternative to sitting at home with a gun in your mouth.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you. I gotta agree with you there,
bro. But I will say this much: don't have your. I can cuss. Have your shit together, bro. It's bad when you. Especially when you're carrying a U.S. passport and you're in Africa, or from what I've seen from your show in the Philippines, and you run out of money because you didn't set yourself up correctly, you didn't get some type of rotating income, you came and you said, oh, I'm here, I've got $10,000, how am I going to invest my money and make $1 million off their economy, and it doesn't work out. Have yourself set up before you want to go. And if you're going back and forth, that's fine. But there's, you can get an online job for around $17, $18 an hour. Get an Express VPN or a modem in the States. You got a laptop. Get your job before you come and do the training, and then land there where you can make $18, $20 an hour. Live like a king in the Philippines. Live like a king in Africa. Live like a king in Dominican Republic. But you don't want to do that. You want to stay. You want to come over with $10,000 in your pocket, think you're going to run everything. And it just don't work that way. In Africa especially. You'll be out there. Shoot, you'll be out there. That's all I got to say, and I've seen it. And it's so sad. Go ahead.
Let me draw your pick. Says 65 is third quarter. See, y'all dreaming. The fourth quarter is now. It's always now. Okay, you don't know how much time you got left. What are you talking about? It's the third quarter. My father died at 61. I had a brother die at 55. My mother died at 62. Okay, The fourth quarter is now. I don't care how old you are. I don't care how good of a health you're in. All you got is now, so you better live it like there is no tomorrow. And some guys, they're like, I don't give a damn what Sunshine Shows is saying. I'm going over there. I wasn't able to have children in America. I'm going to have a son before I die. A man came over here. That's what he told me. He said, I'm going to have me a son before I die, okay? King B. Stacker says, I'm almost 49. So I hope that I have at least 20 more years on this planet to raise 2 more kids. He says, I'm definitely going to wait until we have a kid before I buy a home for our kids. Yeah, that's smart, but we all want another 20 years. But, it just ain't guaranteed. The only thing guaranteed is you're going to die. That's guaranteed right there. And you're thinking smart because I wouldn't give a woman over here any money who I'm not financially responsible for. Meaning if I'm not married or if we don't have children. Otherwise, it's stupid, man. And people always push back on it. You're not going to realize how stupid that is until you run out of money. And they're going to flip the script and say, I'm not giving you nothing back. Who's going to take care of me and my kids over here? Okay. Self-preservation, guys. Come on.
It's it's I think if you're in a situation to where you know that I have to have something up in 2 years, otherwise I'm going to go broke, then I don't think anybody should be jumping off a bridge to do it.
The real CP show, he says it's hypocrisy. Say a 40-year-old feminism woman in America can talk with a 45-year-old man and barely a peep from fathers with daughters in their 40s and 50s, etc. Yeah, it's always been a double standard, the real CP show. I mean, we can't change that. It's always going to be the double standard. My father told me, he said, a man can lay out in the street butt naked, get up the next day, put on a suit, and he's still going to get the same respect. Let a woman do it, and she'll never outlive that. Okay, it's just a double standard. And there's nothing you're going to do about it. And
in a country in Africa, I don't think it was Zambia. I forgot the name of the country. A lot of the older women were going there and dealing with a lot of the younger men, and they outlawed the older women for going there.
That sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, a lot.
It's Gambia. It's Gambia. It's Gambia.
Right.
It's Gambia.
I don't hear a lot of people bashing the older woman. I don't hear a lot of people in our Western society beating up them older women for meeting and dating 20-year-old men. I don't see it. I only saw one TV show on it.
Yeah.
But your people are on the opposite of the Western world. I think to me it's a strong dose. Like when you're saying you're taking feminism, a lot of men are taking their money here, and which was the reason why I wasn't too keen with Dominican Republic, because I mean anytime you go somewhere and you're throwing money in the air and the women are, you know what I mean? That's just all in a story I don't even want to get into right now. We'll do it another time. But when you're on that mindset,
Gambia,
it don't go both ways, right?
Yeah, but in Gambia, see, you're right. Nobody gives that a second thought. I saw one video on that, and it's really a phenomenon, but it's been going on for a long, long time. It's the Philippines in reverse. That's all it is. It's these rich, well-to-do, and not even well-to-do, middle-class white women from Europe. They're flying over here to Gambia, where these guys are basically starving to death, and they're doing the same thing for the men that we do for women in the Philippines, the Dominican Republic, and all those other places. But like the guy said, you don't get a peep out of the feminists or anybody like that. And I don't know. I'm not going to change that, but you're right. It's a double standard. Now, Bijan Bain says, at LED International. My father will be 85 in a week and a half. Plays tennis twice a week. Drives, does yard work. Is on no meds. But is he fucking, man? Is he fucking? Because if he's not, then what can see? He's leaving that out. What kind of quality of life, you know?
Maybe
Hey,
he
man,
doesn't
he can
know
play
that about
tennis,
his
he can
dad.
fuck. I believe so.
And he's the exception, guys.
Ronald, get
It
him that
doesn't
me.
mean
Yeah, he's
that
just
makes
driving that
the
racket
rules
the other way.
correct,
That's
guys.
all. The racket's going in the opposite way. That's it. That's all.
Yeah, most of us watching this live stream right now are going to be dead at 85. So don't get your hopes up, man. Okay. Yeah, you're going to be dead. But, you know, hey, my hat's off to him. But he left that out. He didn't say he was, you know, he was screwing nobody. Joel Pierre says most men would never travel. It's very expensive. 68% of Americans don't have $1,000 in savings. Yeah, you're right. And see, these are the ones that the YouTubers get the pushback. The guys who are never going to go anywhere, John, who've never been anywhere. And every time I get into something with a guy on my comments, because I look at my comments. I said, "Are you over here?" No. So what are you talking about then? Shut up, man. Either shut up and come over here. Okay, either way. You can't tell me what's going on over here. Yeah. Tim West says, "Amen, Calvin. Continue to pave the way for those who are on the way. Appreciate the nitty-gritty. It's great teaching. Anyone who is wise will receive it gracefully." I'm not really trying to teach. I'm promised. Stanley and John, y'all here on me in live with me now. I'm just telling you my life over here. What I'm seeing, what I'm living, what I'm experiencing. I'm not teaching, but people take it that way. They always giving too much advice. Okay, the video I made about feminists becoming the biggest feminists in the Philippines are American men. I'm an American man. Everything I talked about on that video, I did it. I'm trying to say, hey, look, you don't have to do it. If we're ever going to flip the script, somebody's going to have to put their foot down and say enough is enough. Clint Dow says, I got 2 more weeks here. Then I'm back home for about 2 months. But I'll be back to hang out in Siquijor. Okay, brother. What time is it? Travel says, according to AARP, 65-year-old is considered old in the West. Age is just a number. It says, I'm 60. I don't take not one medication. It's self-care. That's true. I'm 60. I don't have any medications. But at the same time, you're still 60, man. Okay. That's the bottom line. Okay. John, you're 65, right?
Yep. Yeah.
John?
Can you hear me?
You're 65, right?
Yes. Hang on a second. I think my microphone's messed up.
Did I lose y'all?
No.
I can hear you, John.
Oh, you can?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, I'm
Okay.
65 years old. Yes.
But you're not the new 45. You're 65.
Well, I recognize. Listen, 65 is a pretty good thing to be because you learn a lot of lessons that I wish I would have known at 30 years old. And we talked before, one of my best lessons is learning how to say no to a whole bunch of stuff. No, and not feel too terrible that I've got to say no. I got to say no to myself. I got to say no to so many people. You know, I'm in Mexico. It's a lot of poverty. I can't get 6 blocks without people asking me for money and some way or another. But 65 is a pretty good thing, you know, and I don't take any medication either. I ride my bike. I get an hour exercise a day. I burn at least 500-600 calories on the bike or the rower. You know, hopefully that will.
But reality kicks in. But reality kicks in every now and then when you look in the mirror and you say, you say I'm 65.
I'm going to tell you something, brother. I'm going to tell you something. Do you guys remember, anybody out there remember romper room when we were children.
Yeah,
Romper
right.
Yeah.
room. Do you remember the lady on there had that magic mirror? And we all got a wonderful thrill when she mentioned our names, that we were good. You know, I see Johnny and Calvin and Stanley and John, and it was a great thing. And I'm going to tell you something. I think people have a mirror that is absolutely not reflective of who they are. They're looking at something that is not looking back at them. And I'm telling you this because I see old guys and I see old women who have this unrealistic expectation that that somebody's going to love them because they're beautiful, because they're handsome. I don't get, what mirror are you looking in?
Yeah,
You know, and I'm gonna
exactly.
tell you,
That's what I'm saying.
go ahead. Go ahead, Calvin. Sorry.
No, I was just agreeing with him.
I look at it like, I mean, when it comes down, well, people don't looks. I can understand looks wrinkled in the man and the younger girl looking at an older body and saying, my God. But it in the end of the day, when you meet a person and that person gives you not just financial stability, but confidence, gives you loyalty, gives you the things that a lot of men today, a lot of younger men today don't know how. They're so into themselves, they don't know how to give. They don't know how to be into that, to be into that younger woman. Then there is a form of bond there. Now I do understand that it's financial too. I mean, but I don't see a young girl being with a broke young guy or a broke old guy. So it's the fact that the man is already presenting himself financially, but can has lived a long life and can learn to appreciate, giving confidence, giving a sort of
Security.
respect, a leadership, security, things that an alpha male should already know. But sometimes it takes a beta male a while to become an alpha male. I think they can change. And like you go to the Philippines, you can change your financial situation. So when you're in the States and you're all alone and you're not really, even if you're 50, yeah, I mean, I tell you, most of us, and I think Calvin included, and I think you included, we can go back to the States and we can find, let's say Calvin was single, and we can find females there. If you can do it there, if you can do it in another country, you should be able to do it in your own country, but
But the options, though, the options.
But the thing is, the options are better over there for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
then you got to understand something, Stanley. We're not leaving because we can't get a woman. It's the women
Exactly.
that are in our dating pool, okay, with their attitudes, and they're less agreeable, okay. They're a lot bigger, and we just don't. Like I said, I'm 60. I'm in a great shape. I don't want a 60-year-old woman or a 50-year-old woman, and a 40-year-old woman is not going to take me serious over there. Okay,
No.
let me give you an example, because this guy says, accept the Lord. He says, accept the Lord Jesus and you shall live eternally. See, this is my problem with American women, specifically black women. I go out there, I bust my behind for 50, 60, 70 hours a week, pay all the damn bills, and she, at the end of the day, she's talking about thank you, Jesus. No, my name's not Jesus. My name is Calvin. Show me some appreciation sometime. And that's the problem I got over there. At least over here, the women will say thank you. They will appreciate me. They're not sitting there talking about thank you, Jesus. I did that. Okay, I'm sorry. Let me be honest about it.
I don't know if anybody's a reader, but I'm in the middle of a book, and Calvin, I know I've sent you some stuff on it, but it's called Men on Strike, and it talks about how men, and particularly younger men, it's called John Galting, which means they're just leaving. They're just walking out. And that younger and younger, they're leaving college. They're deciding not to get into professional jobs. And what's happening is that their income, and what it's going to be interesting to see what happens in the Philippines from this. Men's income, because they're not in college and they're not getting their degrees, the income is going down than where it was. That's a nice graph that's on there. Women is going up. Women are getting more power. They are in college more. They're getting their degrees more. That's enabling them more. That means that the guys that were deltas, gammas, they don't have a prayer at all, because these women's standards are going to be much higher than they ever were before, because the men, Generation X's and the others and us, we've thrown up our hands and said, I'm walking away from this. I don't want any
shoot for the
part
top
of that.
10%. And then they're going to wonder why, I'm single with a baby. I have a lot of money. I'm single with a baby, but I'm like the other 20 girls going for that same 1% man,
Yep, that's right.
It's happening now. It's just going to be in a larger number, That's how I see that whole thing. It's an inevitable thing. You can't take a Western woman and take her to one of these countries and they're going to be happy. No. Because what they're looking for, most Western men don't make over $100,000. I mean, most men in these countries don't make $100,000 a year or more, 200,000. Most of them is not going to tolerate you not cooking, you not cleaning, you not, most of them ain't going to do the 50-50 thing. So you can't, so the women that's getting built up there is getting built up for true failure. Because what they're looking for, there's only 1% of the men in this world that's going to give this to them. You know what I mean? So,
but those women aren't even in the top tier. Those are women that are 3s and 4s.
That's right.
Man. They're the leftovers. Exactly. I don't want any, whatever. Go on to Gambia. Exactly. I don't care. And that's what they say to us. Oh, you passport bros, you go on to the Philippines.
Yeah.
We don't miss you. And I'm looking at these gals and I'm thinking, who in the fuck wants you anyway? We don't care what you think.
Yeah.
The passport
Kentucky
bros.
Blue.
Yeah.
Thanks for that super chat. He says, flying to Cebu tomorrow evening for the first time. Oh, man, congratulations. He said, thanks for all the informative videos, Calvin. You're welcome. I'm going to tell you guys, anybody out there, it's nothing like your first trip to the Philippines. It's like getting high for the first time. You're going to chase this thing for the rest of your life. So enjoy yourself, Kentucky Blue. Bring as much money as you can afford and stay as long as you can, because you only get that first time. Okay? The women are going to love you the first time you're here. After that, you chasing.
When I was in I wanted to go to the Philippines back in 2021, but the restrictions to get there was so high that I just was like, forget it. I never got the chance to. Well, I had plenty of chances. Every 90 days I could go, but I just decided to go to other countries. So I might put it on my list. I'm probably going to go to India in 60 days, and then after that, we'll see what happens. Thanks. I'll be on the super shot. I'm coming, Calvin. I'm coming.
Yeah, but I'm gonna tell you, it's just one option. That's why I tell guys, because people come over here and lose their minds. They can't, it's not America, it's not Thailand, right? They don't understand, man. This hotel I'm staying in now is 2,000 pesos, so that's less than $40. It's got 2-for-1 massages upstairs on the 4th floor, with the gym, with the swimming pool. I mean, it's maxed out, man. I'm like, if you can't enjoy yourself over here, who gives a damn about an infrastructure? That's what these guys always want to throw at me. Like, I'm not trying to build an atomic bomb over here. I'm just trying to live and enjoy the rest of my life. Okay? I'm talking about these are real masseuses that they've got up there, not the junk that you get in some places around this country. They've got the best probably in the Philippines in this hotel. But, I'm going to do a video about that, But, yeah, it's just one option. But some guys come over here and they nitpick the Philippines to death. I'm like, well, go to another part of the Philippines. This place is so spread out. You can't compare, they try to knock the Philippines based on what they're seeing in Manila, Cebu, Man, it's a very tiny part of this country, man. It's a beautiful place, guys.
Go
You know,
scuba
how many
diving.
islands is
Go
it?
look at some
2,000
of the
islands?
cultural places. Go do, that's what the beauty of travel is seeing all the other stuff. If you're going to stick an Angeles and Subic Bay, you know what?
right.
Come on, man.
They think that's all the Philippines is because those are the channels they're working, John. They don't go in the water.
I haven't been there since 1982 when I got off the ship at Subic Bay, and I've got indelible memories of that adventure for sure.
Now,
Yeah, I'm just saying.
You can help me. You can help me
Okay,
out, John.
Mark,
I was at. Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
now I was going to read this. Mark Markson. He says, I've not been to the Philippines, but my first time in Phuket, Thailand, as a 40-something, I stood there and was dumbfounded. My senses were assaulted in the best way. Yeah, because you got out of that dot. You moved out of that dot wherever you're from. You know, it's the same place when I joined the service. The Navy gave me the travel bug, man. When I went to some of those places, Brazil, Cartagena, Colombia, you know, and you see this stuff when you go to the pyramid, not the pyramids, the Colosseum in Rome, and you see all this stuff, man, that you only used to read about, man. You're never the same again.
No.
Your man will never go, once they stretch your man out, that's what they say. It never goes back to its old shape again. That's true about traveling. That's why I tell guys to come over here. You know, you're not going anywhere else. Hell, you go to Mexico. They won't even come to Mexico, John.
I know that's kind of weird, but you know, Mexico's got the first question I get, is it safe? Is it safe? So I understand. I get it. That's okay. I don't want you here anyway. There's too many tourists.
The cartels,
they're real. It's a real thing. There's a burial ground right up the street where they dump them. But you know, we don't get touched. Nobody bothers us. It's safe. It's good. It's all good, man. And I'm right here. You know what? I'm 1 hour from the United States border. 1 hour from medical care. 1 hour from my family. 1 hour away. And I'm right on the Sea of Cortez. There's whale sharks. There's porpoises, seals. There's, you know, you can go fishing. I don't have to travel 7,000 miles to do all that, but I want to. I want to understand the way other people think, and I want to see how they live. You know, when I was in the Philippines, I had two distinct experiences. One was the one all sailors get, but I went out one night with a gal that was working behind the counter at the hotel, and she took me to a chicken fight, which is something I wouldn't do today, but took me around to a whole bunch of different places. In Angeles, that's where we was in Angeles, because we were going to fly out. And that was totally fun. Of course, she also took me to meet her parents the first night. But that's what I want to see, no matter where it is. And when you go to Mexico, you're a short away from pyramids, Mayan pyramids, and Guatemalan pyramids. You don't have to fly to Asia. You can drive right down here to Mexico, and there's volcanoes right down the street that you can go visit. The Baja California is just right. It's a 6-hour drive, but it's California weather, and there's vineyards there, and there's culture. That's what I want to see is culture. I can't get in the whorehouses anymore. They got my picture on all of them, banning me.
Hopefully those are 40-year-old women. Or older. Hey, I did go to Mexico. Me and my son, we did the last hurrah before he got married. So we went to the hotel zone. I know
where at.
They call it the hotel zone.
Tijuana.
Tijuana?
Yeah, no, man. It's right off the coast there. Shoot.
Ensenada.
Anyway, I have to get I don't remember the name, and I have to pull it up. My phone's busy, but they call it the hotel zone. It's where all the people go to vacation. It's like real beautiful there.
Sounds like Cabo San Lucas.
Cabo San Lucas, right near there. There's an area between the two destinations, and they call it the hotel zone. All it is hotels.
Yeah.
So we rented a car and we drove all the way down to the tip where there was a island, and we got on a ferry and went to the island over there. This was like
I
8
think
years
you
ago.
were in
Like,
the Yucatan Peninsula and you went to the Isla Mujeres.
yeah, man, it was a great trip. It was just me and my son, and it was before he got married, so it was like father son last time together before you start having grandbabies,
Yeah.
and you really get tied down. And
Yeah.
it was a very great trip. I really enjoyed Mexico, by the way.
King B. Stacker, he says, my first trip ends tomorrow. See, I met him. He came to my meet and greet, him and his girlfriend and their son came to the meet and greet in Lapu Lapu. He said, but I'm definitely coming back in December. He said, I agree. Bring as much money as you can the first time. When I get back, I will be in daily life mode, but I've been in vacation mode. I know it's going to be a sad time for you when you go to that airport, man, because believe it or not, the first time I left the Philippines, man, I cried, man. Not really bald cried, but when the woman was turning to leave, I got, my eyes were welling up, man. And I thought it was me. I just thought it was me. But everybody who comes over here for the first time who has a good time, well, really a great time, they say the same thing. And then I read where guys leaving Brazil were doing the same thing. So yeah, I feel for you, King B. Stacker, because he was over here maybe a month or two. And, he found him a nice looking woman and, he's living the life over here. And now he's got to switch back. It's back to reality for him. He's going to wake up tomorrow
What they call the
in
Matrix,
America.
Yeah.
And he's really going to have a reverse culture shock because that woman's not going to be there. That's a fact. And it's back to you got to do everything for yourself.
Calvin, when
Ain't
was the
nobody
last
doing
time
nothing
you
for
were
you.
in America?
I left December the 3rd, 2018.
Haven't been back since.
I haven't been back since, but let me be honest, guys. It's not like I'm some cruel, unfeeling clown. I got a problem with flying, man. It's in my mind, man, and I've got to get through that. That's the reason why, it's not really flying. I believe it's claustrophobic. I'm
I'll be right
claustrophobic,
back.
And it's all in my mind. Once I get on the plane, I'm going to be all right. But man, a week or two before my flight, I can't sleep. Everything, every time I think about a plane is going down and it's crazy, man. But that's the reason why I don't go back. It's just too far. But my daughter graduates in December. So, I'm going to try to do everything in my power to go back. And I know y'all going to say I'm crazy because that's what we do in America. We don't know how to really deal with mental health and different things like that. So, are you weak? And what's wrong with you? Yeah, I got a problem with getting on a plane, going all the way back. And I see guys doing it all the time because I used to do it all the time. Listen, I was a silver medallion member with Delta. I'm talking about every 2 months I was on a plane coming back and forth to the Philippines. I've done it 25 times. But something happened to me in 2015. I don't know what happened. And now if I step on a plane, man, I go into panic mode. They flew me out to LA. One of the last jobs I had working for an insurance company, it was with Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield. They flew me out to LA for a week. I was getting ready to call the people up and quit my job because I couldn't get on the plane. A friend of mine talked me into getting on the plane. I got out there. Everything was fine. Had a great time. Time to come back, the shuttle driver knocks on my door to take me to the airport. I didn't answer it. I end up buying a damn Amtrak train ticket and coming back. Took me 3 days, man. My wife was like, where the hell are you? I said, I'm on a train somewhere. It's hilarious now, but this is the type of stuff that I'm going through with these planes, man. And I got to shake it, man, because I got to go back to see my
Even
kids.
in the best of circumstances, sitting in a plane for 15 hours is just not a fun thing.
Yeah. It's not. And I got to get out of my head because I tell you, I watched when we came over in December 2018. It was the smoothest flight I've ever taken, but it was so excruciating because I watched that clock. I watched every minute tick by for 15 hours from Chicago to Hong Kong. See, I don't want to do that. That's my man. That's crazy.
Well, maybe you need to take a Xanax and take about a 10-hour nap on the plane.
Yeah.
I'm right. I think you're right, man. Maryland's got some type of pill, but hell, sometimes them things don't work. They say it works in reverse.
No, it'll work. It'll work. Just take a little. You can buy down here in Mexico. You can walk into any pharmacy and get anything you want. You got to be a little careful though, because they put fentanyl in a lot of things. But you can walk in and get Xanax.
Wow.
You can walk in and get Xanax from anyone, and if you have a little trouble sleeping, man, you're out.
Oh man, you're funny, John. You said you swept that under the rug like that's no big deal. That fentanyl will kill you dead.
You live this. You know what? It's part. You've got your own dynamic in the Philippines. There are people that try to scam you there. People that scam us here. The big deal is here. A lot of expats come to Mexico to buy their drugs because it's cheap. But there's a story. I mean, there's a recent story about how a young man walked in and got one pill for a migraine, and it was laced with fentanyl. Fentanyl's in everything. You got to be really careful about what you're doing. It's just learning.
Absolutely.
Learning how to travel.
I'm afraid of taking anything that's not prescribed by a doctor. I'm afraid of it because, one of my daughters is on pills, and she got 30 days sober. I was just telling her, I was like, I worry about you because they're putting the pill might say Oxycontin or whatever they're taking over there, Percocets or whatever, but it's pure fentanyl.
You're right.
People are dying over there. I mean, just crazy over there. But it's so nobody's really.
Cough syrups, isn't that a lot of cough syrups and flu medications?
Well, not fentanyl. Okay. Fentanyl is like 50 times or 100 times more powerful than heroin. It's coming from over the best fentanyl is coming from right over here in China. But I'm saying that should be the headline every day, but it's not over there in America. The headline today is Deion Sanders won a football game, and he done split the country over a damn football game. This is the reason I left America, man. We're sick over there. We really are sick. But let me read this. Sperling Edwards, thanks for that super chat. He says, I've traveled to Japan, Hawaii, Guam, and Wake Islands. So when I got here to the Philippines, I knew I'd be happy. I'm happy over here, man. That's another reason I haven't went home. I haven't been in a hurry to go home. Is because this place fit me like a glove, man. I've never been to a place where I was as comfortable as I am here. I don't know. I can't explain it, guys. Hey, Byron, thanks for that super sticker.
For me, I don't know if I'm ever going to I have a bug. It's like for me, after I've been someplace 3 or 4 months or whatever, now I've been to Tanzania the longest, but in between Tanzania, I went to Kenya, I went to Uganda, I went to Rwanda, you know what I mean? And now I'm about to go to India. So it's just a traveling experience. I now like you, I hate the planes.
Do you research where you're going?
Yeah.
And how are you received as a Black American in Africa?
Woo, boy, that's a good one. That's a whole different show.
I've heard it could be a bad experience.
I will definitely. Okay, have you ever? There's a term and they coined us and it basically means white. Basically, what it is if they look at us and they know we're Black, first of all, but they see us as Black American, right? And so the fact that we don't have a tribe, the fact that we're coming from 5 generations departed from Africa, just like if you were French black, or if you were from the islands, or from anywhere else. I don't really find it too. I don't find it too hard to get around. I don't get bad treatment. In fact, I mean, it's like one of the most safest places in the world. I mean, I've walked down a street, in the middle of the night with a bunch of teenagers, where in the States I'd have been like, it's time for me to turn around. Here it's just no big thing. I find it super safe, especially in Tanzania.
Yeah.
Now,
But let me chime in here. Let me chime in here. Now, I know that they treat us different in America, in our own country. They don't fool with us, okay? Africans do not fool with Black Americans. I had a good friend, his name was Nigel, and he was, believe it or not, he was from Nigeria. And he said, Calvin, we go through orientation, and they tell us don't deal with y'all because y'all trouble. He said, if you deal with Black people over there, you're going to get in trouble. You're going to end up losing your visa, blah, blah, this, blah, blah, that. It's very few Africans who hang out with Black Americans, man. I'm just telling you. I was 55 when I left there. He was the only one in my 55 years of living. And that's because we worked together side by side. And I was able to, we was able to get close, and he came to my house a couple of times, but he told me the whole story because they don't deal with us.
You see that you can see that when I was at the VA hospital, I saw it when I was over at I worked there for years, and you see that, but when you get to Africa, it's a lot different. There's no visa involved. There's no whatever have you involved. I think what they see is a lot of violence on our part in the States. They're not as quick to want to pull a gun out. They don't have guns. They're not as quick to even really want to fist fight. They talk out their grievances in a lot of different ways. And you and me as an American who's I around the collar, I'm ready. You got to be 24/7 ready in the States, and that's that matrix you unload no matter where you go. Even the Philippines, you unload the matrix. You unload that. You feel like, oh God, I could walk here, and you look around, and now all of a sudden you're like, wait a second, it's a lot safer here, or you're not as confrontational. When they get to the States, they're in the matrix. When you get to Africa, you're not in that matrix. You're in a colonization type mode. Now they're colonized, but they're not into the
but hell, that's a whole different conversation too. Okay, they were colonized on their own land. But anyway, let me address this because this guy he really doesn't understand something. He's missing something. Okay, he says, Joel P. Pierre, he says, leave all the race issues behind you. He says, in the Philippines, they don't have those issues. Leave all that nonsense behind you. But see, you're wrong. They do. We're foreigners, okay? And we're always going to be foreigners, and we're a different entity. You're never going to be accepted into the circle. You got Filipinos, and then you got foreigners. And there's different rules for foreigners. The different rules for foreigners. Yeah, but I'm saying he said that they don't have those issues, but they do in a subtle way. They do, in a very subtle way. They do.
Yeah, that was that statement. I don't know.
So you're always going to be a foreigner. You're always going to be a foreigner. You're never going to be accepted into the mainstream. They're always going to look at you that way. So that's a form of racism right there. Okay, I'm sorry. Now, is it racism like we deal with in America? Absolutely not. No, I'm not ill-informed, man. I'm living here. You are a foreigner, Momentum. When you get over here, you're going to be a foreigner. You're always going to be a foreigner. Does that mean the police are going to come around and follow you everywhere you go? Yeah, to get your autograph, but you're a foreigner, man. And it's not the racism that we deal with in America in different places, but it's still racism, man. You're not accepting it to the mainstream over here. There's a different price for you, a different price for Filipinos, man. They're going to treat you differently because you're not from here. So that's a subtle form of racism, nationalism, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, what are you talking about?
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, that's kind of that's it's, I don't think people really understand that no matter where you go, they're still going to look at you and they're going to see you, and the preconceived
I'm not even
notion.
talking about black people. I'm talking about all foreigners. We're
Now hear
put
me
in
out.
one bowl over here. We're put in
Hear
one
me out.
bowl over here.
Hear me out. I understand that, but what I'm saying is, no matter what, people are going to look at you. They're going to have preconceived notions, and from those preconceived notions, that's going to be their first line of thought. That's all I'm simply saying.
He says,
Well,
is it possible to own a small business in the Philippines as an expat? Yeah, if you've got the right visa, you can. You can't come over as a tourist and do it. But if you got an SRV, you can go to school, you can open up a business and all sorts of stuff like that. What were you saying, John? You were going to say something?
well, I'm a privileged white guy. What the hell do I know about anything except to listen? But it seems to me that the gentlemen that you've brought onto your channel and who have piped in are pretty good ambassadors for African American men, for men. And when you're talking about all this, I'm thinking to myself, my God, in their own country, it probably makes you pretty paranoid just to be alive, just to drive down the street, just to walk. And I don't guess that ever goes away. If you're in Zanzibar or the Philippines or Mexico, I imagine there's a little bit of that spider sense going on in the back of your brain that's suggesting that, you know what's going on.
Well, actually, it goes away when you come to places like this. But let me tell you something about the ambassadors.
You brought some quality people on, smart, entrepreneurial,
Most of the
people that
black
are
men that
genial.
you're ever going to meet, John, they're the rule. They're not the exception. The thug is the exception, okay? He's the exception. They make it seem like, we don't control our own images. And that's what
Yeah,
we need
yeah.
to do as black men. That's why when I come around the world, I conduct myself the same way I do here as I do at home. Okay. But we don't control all that. See, we don't have that power. So that's why you would think that way, that we're ambassadors when the overwhelming majority of black men you're ever going to meet are going to be like the black men that come on my channel. We're just about all like that, but we're the only race of people where they'll take that 5% of the bad guys, which every race has 5%, and make it represent the rest of us. See,
Yeah, yeah.
growing up, I've always been, even to this day, I'm always compared to the Hitlers of my race. You don't have to deal with that, John, but I
No,
do.
no, I know.
See, no matter how good I am, let one black man do something bad and we all pay for it. That's just how it is over there. But when you come over here, you get that relief. You get that release, that relief. It's not there anymore for me. That's why I'm able to really like fly over here. I'm like, that weight has been lifted and I'm able to like soar over here and do things I never even imagined doing. You
Good,
know,
good.
It I will agree with both of you on this. And um first and foremost, we know, I mean, I know where my limits lie. You know what I mean? So I do feel even in Africa, I look, you may treat me differently because I'm Black American, but I know my danger level is so low here. My when I walk around and when I do things and how I move and how I proceed, I don't worry about what I would be worried about in the States. I don't worry about that stuff. But one bad apple, even in traveling, if one Black American does something wrong, even in the expat, especially in the expat community, overruns his visa. One, you have 50 Black men in the colony, and they're all doing what they're supposed to do. But one Black man gets into a fight, gets kicked out. It's all Black men. You
Sure.
know,
Yep.
so it gets to be really troublesome. I mean, when you go, like when I get my visa stamped or things like that, they're saying, why are you coming back? Why are well, shit, I mean, I just don't want to go back to the States, but you do get that extra line because of something that somebody did 5 years ago that you weren't even around or wasn't even capable of, because he so happened to have a similarity to you. you
Mhm.
know
Oh yeah. Let's kind of move on. You said something though, Stanley, that interests me. You said we don't need you don't need a visa or any type of thing to get over in Africa.
No, that's not true. You need a visa. You need a 90-day visa. I don't think
What did you say about that?
I didn't hear
about
anything.
about the visa. You need a
Yeah, you
90
said
day
something
visa.
earlier. Okay.
Yeah.
What about vaccination?
Um, the last time I did I have to turn in my vaccination card? I don't think I did in my country, but in some countries you still need it. I think every country, there's 54 countries in Africa, so they all vary
No, no,
on which
not that. I mean, do you need to take certain vaccines before you? Do they tell you? Do they suggest that you take certain vaccines before you
Yeah, if you
travel
go
to
on the web
Africa?
page, you got to have for sure. You got to have yellow fever.
Yeah.
I know that's the main writing one for Africa is yellow fever to get into most countries here.
Yep. That made me sick when I was in the Navy. I
Wow.
got the
So,
yellow fever shot, and it took me down for 2 days.
Yeah. Go ahead, Calvin.
yeah. Now, Jason, no, I'm saying he was saying about vaccines. So the yellow fever. So a lot of these no vaxxers, they won't be going to Africa then, right?
Um, you can go to Africa. A lot of them say that you have to get tested so many hours before you get on the plane, and you have to have proof of just like with the Philippines, and just like when I went to Thailand, 48 hours before you arrive there, you had to be tested as a negative, and then you have to take
Hmm.
it again so many days after you arrive.
Is
So
that
it's
still
it's
going
pretty much
on?
So what type
in
of vaccine are
some
you
countries,
talking
some
about, though?
countries, yes, not all countries. Some countries, you have to
Oh,
you have to go on the web page. You go on the web page and you
yeah.
look on the web page and you see what's needed. Like I
Uh,
knew in Tanzania. In Tanzania, this time I wouldn't ask for my for my vaccination card. I was only asked for my yellow fever. You know, so in different countries you go to, they require different things. I think in Uganda, I had to have my vaccination and I had to have my yellow fever both. So each country's different.
hmm.
You know,
Yeah, what type of vaccine are you talking about, Stanley?
are you talking? I believe you're talking. Well, I know the yellow fever and the COVID. A lot of
Okay,
them
yeah, I'm
have
not talking
dropped
about
it, but some of
COVID.
them still have it. A lot of them dropped it, but some of them still have it. It just depends on which country in Africa you want to go to. You got to think of Africa is about the same size as the United States, but instead of having states, they have countries. You know what I mean? So every country regulates what
Absolutely,
they
yeah,
want. So
yeah, absolutely. Um, the real CP show. Let's get away from this race stuff, guys, because it kind of gets cringy at times. You know, we're living in a dinosaur age when it comes to racism in America. It's so antiquated, man. That's why um, we're falling so far behind everybody else. You know, it's just we can't get away from it, man, for some reason. And it's just like I'm 60 years old, man. I've been dealing with this stuff my whole life. I promise you, when I was 10 years old, man, I told my mother, I said, I'm so glad when I grow up, this racism ain't gonna be around. It's still here, man, and I don't know. We just need to.
Samuel L. Jackson said, "This is just another Tuesday for us."
Yeah,
I think.
yeah.
You know what?
But when it comes to sex, though, some of the biggest racists come over here and fall in love with these brown women over here. So yeah.
So, Calvin, I got a question for you. It's the unspoken agreement question, and
Okay.
you bring that up. I know what you're saying. I know what you mean, but I'm kind of wondering about the validity of it. And I, mentioned to you that it's not worth the paper it's written on. I know men probably have a preconceived notion about what they're going to take away from that relationship. And I think women have a completely different idea about what they're going to be putting into that relationship. Is there a formal discussion that takes place that I'm going to expect from you? Hell, in writing, marriage is a written contract.
No, that's why they call it the unspoken agreement. We already it's a foregone conclusion, John.
How does that
that
work?
when I get off the plane and you meet me at that airport, that we're going to be a couple and we're going to start being together as if we've been together for 10 years. That includes everything. Yeah. I'm going to pay for everything.
Yeah.
But you're going to give me everything I want to.
Yeah.
Okay. That's unspoken. And anybody that's watching this that's ever been over here, you're lying if you say that you haven't dealt with that, because every man that comes over here is dealing with the unspoken agreement. The women, some people call it the girlfriend experience. It's just the unspoken agreement. When the woman, the very first day, she's going to start acting as if she's been knowing you her whole life, that you've had a relationship for years. It's crazy, man. And until you experience it, you'll never know what I'm talking about, man, because, they'll go right along with you. If you don't say anything, then I'm not going to say anything. It's the unspoken agreement. They're going to take off them clothes when they get to the hotel, okay? But you're going to pay for the hotel. You're going to pay for the hotel, and you're going to pay for dinner, and you're going to pay when we go to the resort, okay? It's really only supposed to be in the unspoken agreement is only supposed to be there for a little while. Then you start, your feelings change. Then you start negotiating. But in the beginning, for your first 2 weeks to the month over here, it's unspoken agreement. It's written in stone. There's nothing we can do about it. I'm sorry.
One of the difference that I see in a relationship that I hear from Philippines, and correct me if I'm wrong, of course, and the relationships that I see here where I'm at in Africa, is the supporting of the family to the extent that it happens in Africa.
Wait, say that again.
The support of the family, like you got to pay for, you got to help the sister go to college,
I don't have to do a damn thing.
No,
I don't
that's
have to
not
do a
true.
damn thing. That's them. Let them do it.
That's not true over here. See, that's a myth. Now, here's what happened.
Remember, that's what I said about learning how to say no. The dynamic is the same here. I'll get a photograph
after the unspoken agreement runs out,
arm in a cast,
and then the relationship becomes a little bit, the relationship becomes a bit more deeper.
He's coming in and out again, huh, bro?
So what I was saying is the dynamic is really kind of the same. I'll get a photograph
So
of an arm in a cast,
retarded.
and that's a signal that, oh, I need $100 from you. And
Uh-huh.
you know, my kids can't go to school. That's a signal that I need $100 from you. Or we're not eating. That's a signal that I need $100 from you. Is that an unspoken agreement? You know, listen, not for me. It's not.
You know,
The answer is
I
no.
work for. This isn't.
Yeah, I'm sorry, guys.
You know,
I had to go back on my date.
That's
Okay. Go ahead, break it down, sir, so I can understand the difference.
Yeah. Okay. It's not true. Okay, that's a myth. I promise you, man. I've been dealing with 3 families over here. They've never asked me for not 1 peso. Now, with that woman, the better life that you give that woman, she's going to share it with her family. Okay. And here's my thing to guys, I tell them. Overwhelming majority of women that we deal with over here, they are the breadwinners in their family. They speak the better English. They're more educated. They're the money earners. So if you tell her to quit her job, you got to replace that money. Now, if she was sending the daughter, if she was sending the little sister to school, then now you done told her to quit the job. You got to send the little sister to school.
Yeah.
Okay, but as far as it being expected, that's a myth, man. Filipinos are proud people. They're not going to ask you for anything. Will they take it? Yeah, but they're not going to ask you.
I don't know. I mean, I hear you. But I mean, it's not just. It's like almost every other show I see is it.
I agree with you.
That's what you get
see
from
the
it.
same thing. I see that.
And I'm like,
But it's not
with
true.
your hands out, man. Okay, all right. Well, you're there. I'm not.
But it's not true. I'm there, man. I'm telling you that these guys, these women, 95% of the time, these women don't even ask us for a damn thing, Stanley. We give it to them freely. These guys are going on there talking about this stuff, creating content out of it. They're lying. They don't expect you to take care of the family. That's not true. I've been over here, man. I'm telling you, I was married to a Filipina for 10 years. Okay? Did I give the mother money before? Yeah, for watching my son and stuff like that. But did she ever ask me for anything? No. Has me and Merlin been together over 4 years? Her mother's never asked me for 1 peso. Her brother, her sister, they've never asked me for a penny.
That's interesting.
Okay, my son's mother, it's the same thing, guys. That's a myth. And that's a red flag. If you deal with a woman and her family starts asking you for money, guess what? The fruit don't fall too far from the tree. You need to move on and find somebody else.
Asking for her family.
Okay.
What about her asking for her family?
Well, she's not going to do that. If you give her money, guess what? Now it's her money, and you can't tell her what to do with it. Remember, she's going to share her blessing, which is you, with her family. Okay? She is the breadwinner, Stanley. That's what people don't realize. Any woman you deal with over here, most of us, she's the breadwinner. So we'll tell her to quit her job. Hey, Marilyn, you're only making, $200 a month or $50 a month or something, whatever it is. Okay, you can quit your job. I don't want to see you doing that, right? Okay, so you got to replace that $50 or whatever it is. And then she's going to take that money and do with it whatever she was doing with it to begin with. But they're not going to ask you for anything. They never asked me for 1 peso, guys. They don't do it. Even the women. Would you believe it if I told you that Maryland's never asked me for anything? You wouldn't believe it, would you? Because of what you hear.
I don't believe you if you say it. All I'm saying is what you're saying is what you're explaining is that there's a lot of false content out there. Yeah, but it's on a whole lot of contents, bro, not just one.
Yeah,
Well,
that's interesting.
Yeah, but it's not true though. It's because what they're afraid to say is just like him, Gerald Stipak. He's telling the truth. He said, I think it's the Western man leading with his wallet first.
Yes.
This is what's happening. But it sounds so much better, Stanley, if it says, oh, yeah, her family's asking me for money. She's asking me for money. Instead of you saying, oh, what's really going on? I'm over here living. I see it. I know what's going on. These women aren't asking us for anything, okay? It's the unspoken agreement.
Right.
Okay, she's going to give you the tune up, the oil change, and the lube job, but damn it, you're going to pay for it. You're going to pay for everything over here. Even if she wants a lollipop, you got to pay for it. Okay, that's the unspoken agreement. They're not asking for anything. Okay, and these guys, you can't come. I tell them all the time, you can't get something for nothing. And that's what these alphas and men going on their own way and all that, they think they can come over here to the Philippines and get these attractive young women for nothing. I'm sorry, guys. There's an unspoken agreement there, and you're going to abide by it. If you don't,
in fact, you're gonna
if you don't, you're going to go back.
You know?
Yeah.
So,
it's just less over here. We spend less over here. Okay,
right.
That's all.
Yeah.
So does she approach you about how much money, how much allowance that she needs a month to sustain?
Absolutely not.
No.
Absolutely not. They would never do that because guess what, John? They know the reputation that they have around the world as gold diggers, right? They're trying to break that. They're trying to dispel that myth. So they're never going to ask you for money. The ones who ask you for money, you know right away they're scammers. You know right away they are.
How do you decide what it is that you're going to do in terms of like a budget or her expenses? Is that just something you come up with on your own?
Absolutely. And those guys who tell you that they're doing less, they're lying. Okay. Now, if a woman's earning 10,000, you at least going to give her 10,000, but we give them a lot more than that. Man, it's big time tricking going on over here. I guarantee you there's more money being spent on women here than probably anywhere outside the United States, man. It's a lot of money being pushed around over here. You would not believe it.
I think
now
the
remember,
Dominican Republic got you beat, but go ahead.
No, because you're talking about a woman. Okay, the average salary over here is $250 per month. Now you're talking about the highest of the high, and nothing comes up to $250 a month. You've got men over here giving women millions of pesos. So that's what I'm talking about. You got to compare apples to apples. You can't compare apples to oranges. When a woman is used to only earning $150 a month, and you got a guy coming over here and who's going to give her $20,000,
yes, pretty much.
Nobody else is doing that ratio. There's nobody else doing that ratio where a woman is literally homeless one day and the next day she's living in a $5 million mansion. I'm going to come to the Dominican Republic because I need to see that. They're spending money over here like it's going out of style, like Filipinos are going out of style.
I haven't lived in the Philippines. I wasn't in Dominican like you've been in the Philippines for years. So I really should back up. But I was there for 70 days and I saw more than my share. I saw a whole lot. So, I've seen it go that way. I've seen, them leaving, going home, and they bought them condos and houses and then coming back. And, the whole time they're gone, they're getting money. Then the next man flies in, they running that too, So I've seen that in Dominican. I've never been to the Philippines. I don't know how that works. So there it is.
But you got to understand, though, look how close the Dominican Republic is to America.
Yeah.
You're talking about flying 8,000 miles. By the time you get over here, you got plenty time to think of the foolishness that you're doing. You got 20 hours to think, but you don't. You still get over here 8,000 miles and spending that type of money. Okay, there's women over here who will never complain about foreign men coming over here because we're part of the economy now.
Right.
If you take foreign men and throw us out and all the money we're bringing, I mean, we're literally an economy, part of the economy over here now. Okay, I'm pretty sure they've got figures that kind of deal with the GDP and all that, how much money we're spending.
But like you said, it's further out
Yeah.
in the Philippines, but it's the same thing. The economy there is a big chunk of it is from the American is from the American men to go there and to live there or to survive
Yeah,
there. I mean,
yeah.
just like the Philippines.
Well, I'm saying this isn't the number one spot, but it's one of the highest spots. You have to just come over here and see where the women start from when we meet them, and then where we bring them to, literally overnight.
Yeah.
I'm talking about it's a lot of money. We spend stupid money over here that you don't have to do. That she would be really satisfied with far less than that. But it's our Western thinking. You know, we thinking we're still in America, or UK, or whatever it is, and it doesn't matter what nationality you are from the West. You're still doing it.
Right. The conversion rate makes it makes, like you said, when you come in there, you're coming in as alpha money, but you're burning it like you were better in the States. You know, what you call the better man in the Philippines, because you're coming without the money, but you're burning it.
Here's the thing.
To a better portion.
Here's the thing, okay? The guy earlier said that 68% of Americans don't have $1,000 in the bank, right? $1,000 in savings. Well, see, over here, the women that we deal with, I'm not talking about all Filipinas and all Filipinos, because there's people over here that got more money than you could ever dream of having. But I'm talking about the ones we deal with. They have no savings. So if you give a woman, okay, Merlin told me, I asked Merlin, I said, what's considered a lot of money over here to have in your hand at one time? Guess what she said? This is my woman that I sleep next to every night. She said 10,000 pesos. She said, Calvin, if somebody has 10,000 pesos in their hand, free and clear, meaning no food, no rent, no transportation, that's a lot of money. Okay, now you look that up with the exchange rate being 56.80. See, that's about $176 or something. Okay, but what we'll do, we'll come over here and we'll give them lifetime money in one swoop. I've seen it. I seen a man give a woman, Merlin's sister, he gave her 1.3 million pesos. That's like giving you, Stanley, $1.3 million.
Right.
I mean, but he never saw the woman before. He never put his arms around her, never kissed her, never did anything. Guys, I'm telling you what I'm saying. And people get
1.3 million. How much is that in dollars?
Like 1.3 million.
That 10,000?
Yeah, but
there's got to be
that's 20. That's 20. No, it's one. It's
part of the story going on here. You know,
it's 1.3 million. No, it's not, John. You don't understand. Me and Luther.
What kind of magic is this girl? What does she have that would get somebody to do that? Or is this guy a numbskull?
He's a numbskull.
I can't. Okay, my 3 years online, I've tried to figure out why we do it. We have these discussions all the time. No one can really give us a clear answer. Now, remember loneliness. We were talking about loneliness earlier. A guy said that the disease control says that chronic loneliness takes 15 years off your life, but it also affects your thinking. And I think that has a lot to do with it. But no, these guys are normal individuals.
Special, you know?
Wow, that's sad.
And
yeah,
some people don't. We've all been to the States, and we've all been to that status where I know, me, and I can say me, and where you can look up and say, well, geez, I mean, I had two cars, 3,400 foot square home, good job, well over six figures, and I hated life. I had to get out. you know. So you know, when you have to run, when you have to go, you have to go. You know. So if you see a man who's in that spot and he doesn't have it to get out or doesn't know that there's a silver lining maybe in another country like the Philippines or Mexico or Africa or Dominican doesn't know that there's a silver lining there. That 1.9 and that feeling of gratitude for the couple of minutes is worth him getting out of that dark hole he's in, which to us is crazy.
I guess I won't justify that when you're talking about, okay, now the woman that he gave that money to, let me give you some context. She's working at a job that she was earning 285 pesos a day. Okay, that was her job, a full-time job earning 285 a day. Okay, now think about this. How long will it take her to even earn a million, 1.3 million pesos, let alone have it in her hand? Because she's never going to have it in her hand because that 285 pesos is spent. There's no saving. She would never do it. So this is why I'm saying the amount of money we're spending over here dwarfs anything anywhere else because of when you compare it to where they are to where we take them to. I don't think nobody else is doing as crazy as what we're doing over here, man. I'm telling you, we're literally. I know a guy. This when he met the woman, she was literally homeless. He went out and bought. Now they hadn't been together but 6 or 7 months. Went out and bought a $3.2 million house, and then had it renovated for another 1 to 2 million. And they haven't been together a year. So I know what I'm talking about, man, but I can't figure it out.
Yeah. And he feels like $1 million. He feels like he's the king. Like he's
I don't know.
like
I don't know.
yeah.
Maybe I don't know. I mean, what kind
I
of
couldn't do
self-esteem
it,
does a
but
guy have that he's got to throw money out like that for someone to pat him on his bald head every once in a while?
and there you go. That's how bad it is, bro. See the bald head?
But it's not just him, guys.
What's up?
It's not just
Huh?
him. It's not just him. It's over and over and over and over. So many stories that if you tell a story like that, all those guys are getting mad at me because they're thinking I'm talking about them, but I'm not. They don't realize how much is happening. But he said, the connector said, did he say 10,000 pesos in hand is a lot? Absolutely, it is. Free and clear I'm talking about. We're not talking about $172. We're talking about 10,000 pesos. It's a big difference in every damn thing. Y'all convert everything. You can't convert that over here. But here's a good question. Why did you leave America, John?
It wasn't purposeful. I mean, as you know, I was a private investigator, and a lot of my work's taking me into Mexico, and I already had a vacation place here because that's what Arizonans do. It's right on the Sea of Cortez. So it just got to the point where I had 2 dogs and I was gone, and I had the guy that takes care of the place was taking care of my dogs, and it just happened that I was getting a little bit older and I didn't want to hit 60 and my adventures were gone. I didn't want to hit 60 and life is going to be sitting on a rocker watching Dr. Phil or some crazy shit. I wanted more excitement, more adventure. And so I just decided I'm going to move into, a place that I already had. It wasn't a cataclysmic event that happened to me up in the United States. It was just a natural maturation about being down here. And as it turned out, I mean, the economy, the peso is just kicking our ass right now. But like I told you, my expenses are $336 a month. I can afford more, but I don't have to. It's there. It's just organic. like that. And there's other deals like that too. You can live on next to nothing down here. You know what? That's a good thing. Going to the Philippines and going to these other countries, you'll learn if you pay attention. You know, you got 2 eyes, 2 ears, 1 mouth. You keep the mouth shut and the eyes and ears open, and you'll learn how to do more with less. Because someday you might actually have to do it. You might have to understand that you can't live in the United States anymore on Social Security. You're going to have to figure out another way to do it. And there's no one more creative than it sounds like a Filipina with 10,000 pesos or a Mexican with, 2,000 pesos. You learn from those people and you're going to be a survivor.
Yeah.
So that was a long story. Why am I here? Just, it just kind of happened. It wasn't a big deal. It was here. I moved into it. I'm lucky. I count my blessings every day. I'm happy. It's, I have what a lot of people don't have. And I've been, there were times that I would wake up the first part of the month, I owed a bare minimum.